When thinking about a romance movie from the mid-1990s starring Leonardo DiCaprio as the main male character, this film will probably come to mind. But that's not the real focus of this review. Yes, it's Baz Luhrmann's 1996 adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. In this adaptation of the classic Shakespeare play, the film takes the main plot of Romeo and Juliet and puts it into a modern setting, with the Montagues and the Capulets being rival mafia gangs, an idea Luhrmann had suggested if Shakespeare was a movie director in the present. And before I start, a spoiler warning for those who may not yet have read or seen the play. Looking at the characters, firstly Romeo and Juliet, portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. The development between these two is established brilliantly from the moment they first see each other during the party scene, done through a fish tank. This is all maintained a lot throughout the rest of the movie and in later scenes, even in the brief moment they share before they die. And I also found their portrayals really well done too, as DiCaprio and Danes apparently didn't get along too well behind the scenes, and the two of them are able to pull off their characters to fit really well into the film. And to be perfectly honest, I found Leonardo's interaction with Claire Danes in this much better than with Kate Winslet in Titanic the following year. Looking at the supporting characters, we have Count Paris, renamed Dave Paris and played by Paul Rudd, Mercutio, played by Harold Perrineau, and Tybalt, played by John Leguizamo, amongst others. However, the two that stood out for me were Nurse, played by Miriam Margolyes, and Prince Ascalus, renamed Captain Prince for this adaptation. Out of these two, my favourite was Captain Prince, played by Vondie Curtis Hall. If you have read or seen the play, you'll know that he is the one who banishes Romeo after the murder of Tybalt, and the way he delivers his lines out to the audience are just done so brilliantly, especially in the final scene.
All are punished.
Looking at the character Nurse as well, Margolyes pulls off this role brilliantly, and I find her the best cast character in the whole movie. I put this mainly down to the fact that she mainly exists for comic relief, and Margolyes is no more for acting in that sense.
Wicked child! The chairs are an invention of Satan! In our house, Nathaniel sits on a spike. And yourself? I sit on Nathaniel. 2 spikes would be an extravagance. Quite. I will suffer comfort this once. We shall just have to stick forks in our legs between courses.
I definitely give her the biggest credit for her character in this movie, and I definitely could not see anyone else taking on that role in this adaptation. Looking at what else I really liked, that was the modern setting as a whole. True, seeing one of Shakespeare's biggest plays having everything suddenly change to cars and gunfights does seem a little out of place, but it immediately depicts the tensions that go on between the Montague and the Capulet families right from the start. This is shown through the immediate petrol station gunfight between Benvolio and Tybalt. We just get more and more of this throughout the movie. The best moment I felt was that scene when Mercutio is murdered by Tybalt and Romeo exacts revenge. The short scene that happens depicts the death of Tybalt perfectly, with a brief car chase and the two of them holding each other up at gunpoint. I really find the modern depiction, though, as a great representation of the differences that the play would have had it been written intending to be set in the modern day. And finally, looking at the dialogue. In this, Luhrmann maintains the use of the traditional Shakespearean dialogue from the play itself, which does still work in the same context despite the rest of the film being completely different. Admittingly, it does on occasion sound a bit silly, but it still fits in really well, paying homage to the classic tale, especially in this scene.
Do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden. Like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night. This bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night. Good night.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
Despite the fact that it is set in a different style, it is still able to show that it is an adaptation of a Shakespeare play. So overall, out of 10, I would give this movie an 8, with excellent performances and fun action scenes. I would say that this movie is definitely worth watching if you prefer seeing the modern setting of classic remakes of classic movies. And if you're someone who didn't like the love story concept in Titanic, this is much more worth your time, and a film that you can find a lot more enjoyment out of. This has been a movie review by Django Fett 220. Please drop a like and leave a comment and subscribe for more, and please be sure to follow me on all social media links below to stay updated. See you next time.